When you look at the ocean is comprised of different molecules. Let's say in particular, water molecules. Those water molecules have the consciousness of water, and the consciousness of water behaves like water across the board unless some external forces apply to it. So a water molecule in the ocean cannot jump up and fly away and say, I'm going to be something else. It has to stay in the collective consciousness of water. Human collective consciousness is similar in some ways. When you have a calendar system, like our calendar system, it keeps you in the collective mind of the water. So if you were to try to come out and be or do something different, it wouldn't make sense and you would be lulled back to sleep into the collective mind. That's the first way. How we're different from the water is, even though we are in the ocean of the collective mind, we can be guided by the power of free will and stand up and say, I want to go in a different direction. We can do that. But the calendar drives everyone in a particular way for a collective purpose. And I don't think that collective purpose is all bad. Because imagine if everybody came out of sync with the Gregorian calendar all at one time, it would be chaotic. So in human civilizations, we do need a system of normalizing. We do. However, within that need, we also have the need to sync with nature as part of the ocean. We're part of universal consciousness. And when we come out of sync with universal consciousness, then that is like a water molecule trying to be separate from the ocean. It's going to produce some problems, some disruption and such. So what we want to do is actually come out of the artificial created ocean into the ocean of universal truth, right? Of cosmic truth, of galactic truth. That is the ocean we belong in, not the ocean of being driven in a particular direction. So we need to have the ability to come up and out according to free will, according to spiritual guidance and life path and such. I hope that made sense, what I said. Okay, there's the collective ocean where our current calendar and time-keeping system keeps us in consciousness. But unlike water, we can step up and go, I want to increase my consciousness. I don't just want the consciousness of water. I don't just want the consciousness of the Gregorian calendar and the clock. I want additional layers. And so that's why I labeled this live Behind the Veil Frequencies. The veil is the collective consciousness that has to do with the Gregorian calendar and the clock. And we're increasing our consciousness by looking beyond that. Now, if you were not on my live before, you missed when I was talking about how this Gregorian calendar came to be. And because I want to post this on Facebook, on YouTube, I'm going to read it again because it's super important for you to understand why it's necessary to come out of the consciousness produced by the Gregorian calendar and the clock. So the Gregorian calendar was first introduced, let's see, I'm pulling it up. It was first introduced in 1582. Its aim was to reform the pre-existing calendar's method of calculating the date of Easter. Okay, and I don't want to assume that everyone knows what Easter is, but Easter is what the Christians call Resurrection Sunday, where they celebrate the resurrection of Christ. Okay. So this Pope wanted to revise the pre-existing calendar so that Easter and other holidays fixed with Easter would not align with pagan holidays. So we see the artificial timekeeping coming up. He wants to make sure that Easter and other holidays that were fixed to Easter did not coincide with pagan holidays like the summer solstice, for example. So he wants to change an entire calendar because he doesn't want Easter and other Christian holidays to collide or be in the same time period. So we begin to see now this artificial time, and it was there before, but he just reformed it. We see how the artificial time begins to come into play. If you Google the purpose, let me know if I'm back because my phone rang. Let me know if I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Good. So listen, what he did was, in order to do this, he subtracted 10 days from October in 1582. He just took away 10 days. So there was October 4th on the calendar, and then it jumped to October 15th. I want you to think about that because I had to do some thought around that. Like, what does that mean, really? What does it mean that he subtracted 10 days from a pre-existing calendar so that Easter and other holidays would not coincide with pagan holidays? Mind you, the Roman Catholic Church is just as pagan as ever, because look at the Gregorian calendar. You can see that the days and months are named after their gods, Roman gods. Can we see that? So what does it mean? I want you to ponder on that. What does it mean that this Pope, and I'm saying the Pope, but it's really the Roman Catholic Church, agreed that we don't want our holidays to coincide with pagan holidays. The pagan holidays coincide with nature. We don't want to do that. So we're going to introduce a new set of timekeeping, and I don't care if it disrupts the solar cycle. I'm taking these 10 days out because I can't stand being in harmony with other pagans. And I'm saying other pagans, but they didn't consider themselves pagans. Greetings. Imagine if you were born between October 4th and October 15th. Your birthday had to be recalculated. You no longer were born on October 7th or something. It had to be reworked. You see how this time is artificial, yes? And it took us out of sync with nature. So what we want to do is come back as much as possible to resonance with natural cycles. Because we are part of the universe. We're not just in the universe. We're not on it. We're part of it. In our bodies, when certain cells decide they don't want to function like they should anymore, it produces disease. In our bodies, our body is a whole, many members of one body, the scripture says. So if my skin cells decide to do their own thing and not service the purpose of the whole body, it begins to be dis-ease, right? Now, the universe is the body and we're part of it. So let's say many members of this body decided, I don't want to do this, I want to do that, as if I'm not part of the whole. Then what do we get? Overconsumption. What do we get? Extinct species. What do we get? This formation of GMO and all of these things to force things to grow according to artificial time, out of season. What do we get? All kinds of things. On a personal level, what do we get? I'll tell you what we get. We get feelings like this is Monday, but it feels like Sunday. I'm disoriented. What date is it? This calendar can be very disorienting. And I know all of us have experienced that. I don't even know what month it is. If I don't write the date down every day, I have no clue. Because there's nothing in the sky to indicate it. There's nothing in nature to indicate it. And we experience this every year when the seasons change. We go, dang, it seems like the summer is getting shorter and shorter, or the winter is getting longer and longer, or dang, it seems like such and such is coming sooner and sooner, or later and later. We say that, don't we? Think about it. Dang, it seemed like... So then if we're out of sync, then our bodies that are part of the whole is out of sync. And so that's why we need to find the behind the veil's frequency. The veil is the artificial time. We want to go beyond that. Even think about our menstrual cycles. With this irregular calendar system, 1 month could have 20 days or 29 days. Some months have 30 days, some months have 31. But your cycle is natural and following a 4-week sequence of the moon. But you got to count it by the irregular calendar. You don't barely even know when your cycle is coming for real, if you don't feel it in your body. Because you're trying to count the 4 weeks. And I experienced that with my daughter. She was like, but it's not. I said, I know. Another cycle that we need to sync with is not only our menstrual cycle, not only the cycle of gestation and pregnancy, not only the moon cycle, but the solar cycle. And other planetary cycles matter too. Okay, so now that I've explained the why, I pray that makes sense. Now let's talk about how we can start coming into sync. I want to talk about the simplest way. And when I show you what I'm about to show you, I want you to know that this is a synchronizing, a coming together of different timekeeping systems into one. It's a way of synchronizing natural cycles into one followable cycle. One that makes sense. One that we don't have to keep looking all over for calendars and stuff like that. But not only that, good day to you, King Cream. But not only that, now we have days infused with energetic information. Now we have days infused with energetic tones and archetypes. We have cycles, different layers of cycles that have different meanings that we can plug into so we can be more focused. This is a form of grounding as well. Before my last live cut off, I talked about the importance of standing on the earth. The earth discharges electrons, and electrons help to fight free radicals in our bodies. Free radicals in our bodies are what is responsible for disease and such. So standing on the earth, right, makes you one with it. You begin to exchange with the earth. Standing in the sun has to do with carbon and the activation of melanin and the synthesis of vitamin D3 in our body, which is so essential for our immune system. The sun is ejecting protons through plasma. So we need both. These are ways we can sync with nature. Also, now, let me pull up what I wanted to talk to you about. When you look at the 13 moon cycle, we are in the 12th moon of a 13 moon cycle, and we're on day 4. So look at this whole grid as a 28-day cycle. Within the grid, there are 7-day cycles. Again, there are 13 moons. That's one cycle. Each moon is 28 days. That's another cycle. And each 28-day cycle is broken up into 7-day cycles. that's the cycle. And then there's 4-day cycles, wheels within wheels, absolutely. So we have opportunities to navigate our life with some kind of intentional focus. This 12th moon has a tone of crystal, right? And this is coming from the merging of the Mayan Zolkin and the 13 moon calendar. Remember, I told you this was about merging calendar systems. So this moon is characterized by the power of dedication. So for the next 24 days, we would be looking to dedicate. Dedicate what? I don't know. That depends on you. Because this study is about embodiment. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of feeling into these energies because you are the energy. You're one with it. So you're having an opportunity to experience more of yourself here. And yourself is different from myself in terms of this human body and the mind associated with our brain, but we all are flowing with nature in dedicating. So right off, we know what dedication means, but I don't want to take for granted that we all know. So we'll look it up. To devote time to a particular task or purpose. The next 24 days, you are dedicating time, effort, or oneself to something. What are you dedicating to this month? I'm dedicated to healing. I'm dedicated to unconditional love. I'm dedicated to sharing my wisdom with the world in real ways, right? Which include these teachings. I'm going to dedicate another month to it, another moon, which includes finishing up some book projects that I still have to complete. I'm dedicating my time, effort, and self to my purpose. I'm dedicated in my home to finishing out this homeschool year with a bang. I'm dedicated, I'm focusing. This is not just this month, but this month my focus is pleasure. Loads of pleasure. Loads of healing. Loads of beautiful conversation. Loads of appreciation, admiration, and presence. I want to talk about presence from a video I was watching the other day, but that's for another time. I may come back later. I don't know. What are you dedicated to for the next 24 days? That's a question. Go journal about that. Or you could come up with it right away. I don't know. That's the power. That's the engine of this month. Okay? Yeah, that's nice, right? The action is universalize. Okay? So let's look up what it means to universalize. Because if you're not careful, these words can skate by you and you can almost miss it. And if you miss it, then you won't be intentional, right? Universalize, bring into universal use, make available to all. Okay? I'm dedicated to universalizing pleasure in my life. I'm giving you an example. So what does that look like? Every area of my life, I'm going to make sure I infuse pleasure. Universalize. I'm dedicated to healing, right? And I'm going to universalize that. That means everything I do over the next 24 days is going to be about healing. This is how we apply this. For the next 24 days. I'm ready for that presence convo too. It's deep. What are you dedicated to? And what are you universalizing? The essence or the feeling, but let's look up the essence because I just don't want to take any of this for granted. Essence means the intrinsic nature or quality of something. It's abstract. It determines character. The essence of the next 24 days is cooperation, the intrinsic nature, the behind the veil energy. It's the quality of the month. It's about flow. The quality of the month is about cooperation, cooperating, right? What is the opposite of cooperation? The opposite of cooperation is division, breakup, separation, alienation, severance, parting, disunion, dissociation. Okay? Non-conforming could be it too. So you want to focus on cooperation. A lot of times we focus on separating, coming out from among them, right? But this month you're going to focus on cooperation. How can you cooperate? You know you can cooperate with people even when you don't agree. Do you know you are cooperating with people even when you don't agree? When you're in battle or defense with a person, you're cooperating in that energy. Cooperating, operating with. Let's look up the word cooperation. A process of working together to the same end. If you get in a hard conversation and you both end up frustrated, you cooperated with that. If you are in a situation and you're both resisting one another, you cooperated. So you need to be intentional about your cooperation. What and who are you cooperating with? So let's say someone presents an ideal that you don't agree with. How are you going to cooperate there? Not with the idea, with the person. Well, I'll give you a hint. You can cooperate with honor, a deep regard for their point of view or perspective. You can cooperate with respect. But if you decide to begin to draw up separateness, that's how you and me, we different. Because now you're cooperating with drama. Right? And you're seeing them as the problem, but understand you're cooperating. You can choose through allowance. Absolutely. I see that you feel that. I see that you see it that way. And I can see how you see it that way. Saying that doesn't make you smaller, doesn't make you weaker, doesn't mean you're saying they're right. It doesn't mean you're agreeing. You're saying, I see. I see what you're saying. You could also turn around and go, I see what you're saying. Now I'd like to share how I see it. Are you open? Cooperation. That's the quality of the next 24 days. That's your approach you're taking. Before you brace up and flex up, realize that you're cooperating with resistance. There's a time to cooperate with resistance. And so let's not, take this into anything crazy. If someone is harming you, you're going to cooperate with your safety and remove yourself. But you're not going to stand there and complain about it, because that's not cooperating with your health. What qualities or essences are you cooperating within yourself within yourself? Okay, that's some clarity questions for you. That's the essence of this whole 28-day cycle. Now, all of the 13 moons are coded by the blue cosmic storm, if I'm not mistaken. And what's the animal totem? Can't remember. I'm saying this just to let you know this is a cycle within a cycle, okay? And we'll see who comments and lets me know that. So now look at each 7 days is coded by a color. So we're moving from the 28-day cycle to the 7-day cycle. Every 7 days has a color. The question was, what is this whole year called? I think when it synchronizes with the solar cycle, it's called the blue cosmic storm, I think. And I just wanted to make sure. The 7-day cycle is coded by the color red. Rhythmic storm. Gotcha. It's coded by the color red. And the color red is about initiation. The color red is about getting things started. It's about being born. So we are on day 4. We still have time to ask, what are we initiating? What processes? What thought processes? What patterns? What practices? What are we initiating over the next 4 days? You got to ask spirit that. It may not come to you right away. It could be a smaller quality that supports the bigger qualities that we just talked about. So like yesterday, I'm getting myself back into sync with my homeschool, and I am initiating a new path of study for my younger children. Starting today. Okay. And for the next 4 days, we're going to be sealing in that pattern of study. Let's see. Or being initiated into. What are you being initiated into? That is also a thing. Yes, absolutely. What initiation is happening? We can see initiations as spiritual transformational cycles or opportunities. We could see initiations as intentional training processes. We can see initiation as a process started within. Sometimes the initiation is happening from outside, but it's always happening inside, right? Okay, so we got the 28-day cycle down. We got the 7-day cycle down. Now let's move on to the 13-day cycle. This 13-day cycle, if you look at the black dot on the screen, we are in a 13-day cycle. It's called a wave spell. It's coded by an archetype of the world bridger. We have 13 days to live in world bridger energy as the world bridger. 13 days. The world bridger has the qualities. Let me look it up because I can explain it to you, but I want to use the actual words here. For the next 13 days, world bridger qualities are the power of death, which has everything to do with initiation. And we just talked about initiation. What is being reborn in you, in other words? What wants to be experienced through you now? What iteration of yourself is coming forward? What are you becoming more of or less of? The action is to equalize, to bring some balance. So what needs to be born so that you can have balanced perspectives? What needs to be born for energetic balance? The essence or the intrinsic quality of the world bridger is opportunity. Over the next 13 days, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to be reborn. Plenty of opportunities to balance. There are always opportunities, right? But during this 13-day cycle, you're going to see them more easily. Now, what you do with what you see, that's up to you. You may take it in the same pattern and run with it how you always do. Maybe that's okay. I don't know. Is it serving you? Or you may see it as an opportunity to take another road, to take another approach, right? This is World Bridger energy. The World Bridger presents opportunities that lie beyond our current existence as we know it. When you think about your power self, the self that is imbued with all of the qualities that you would love to be and really are, and are manifesting all at the same time. When you think about your power self, let me give you an activity. Think about a movie and a character that was so powerful, you identified with that character. The character, the qualities just resonated within you. The look of them, the power of them, the words of them, the essence of their being. Think about that. Just recently, I finished watching The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime, and I highly identified with the Aes Sedai. World Bridger reminds me of the Rainbow Bridge to Asgard. I don't know about the Rainbow Bridge. The World Bridger reminds me, I think I said this before, of Santa Muerte, the deity in Latin America. The movie Thor. Okay. Think about a character. That character represents your power self. Your power self is an extension of your current self right now, and that self wants to come into more experience with you, and you more experience with that self. Surfing between worlds, past, present, and future. What does that mean? That means that there's a self that you were 5 minutes ago. There's a self that you were 30 seconds ago. All of that still is. At the same time, there's a self that wants to be experienced through you, and a self that is you, all at the same time. Surfing between worlds, past, present, and future, we may get a glimpse of what is possible when the necessary links are made between these different realms. You are simultaneously what you hope to be, what you are, what you were the last 5 seconds. All of that at the same time. This is the power of the World Bridger to cause you to see those links. What do you need to release and surrender? Again, this is about initiation still. These themes run concurrently. Even though they're cycles within cycles, it doesn't mean they're separate. Remember, they're part of a whole. Again, like a water molecule is part of the ocean. Now more of Bruce. Okay, got you. I like the Aes Sedai. I was also revisiting House of Dragons, and I identify with those dragon riders, those two. All right, so we have hit the 13-day cycle. Let's look at the season. If you locate the black dot, you will see we're in a season of 65 days. We're into the season now. So we have 40 some, roughly 40 days. And during the next 40 some days, we are looking at having an eagle eye perspective on everything. That doesn't mean we're not feeling. That doesn't mean we're not in our heart. But what it means is you're placing more emphasis on the bigger picture. If you look to the left of the blue season, you see the white season. This was the season of the dog. And with that season, the focus was the heart. the individual heart space, the personal perspective, the personal ways of seeing. That was the focus. Now we've moved into giving that personal part a rest and fly up and over. See this from a bigger picture perspective, right? So you may be, let's say, you may be having a relational problem or a job at work, a job in ministry or your neighborhood, wherever you exist. If you were placing focus on the heart, you would be focused on what they think about you. You would be focused on the individual interactions and shifting where necessary and having conversations about it and coming to a consensus together. You would be sharing your heart space and you would be feeling from your heart space as the focus. As we entered the blue season, which is the season of the eagle, well, you can't stop being in your heart space. You're a human being and nobody's asking you to, but the approach is different. So instead of taking, let's say, an insult personally, you might look at who said it, the context in which they said it, why they said it, and you may try to understand before you take it to heart, right? You will try to understand before you take it to heart. In the previous season, you would take it to heart and then look at the bigger picture. Here, you're looking at the bigger picture first, obtaining an overstanding so you can be stable in your heart. So there was an active time for the heart. Now there's a rest time for the heart where you're not just pressing, seeing, moving, absorbing in the heart space. Now you're looking at the why, the dynamics, the universal truth. What is true? Let me give you another example. Let's say someone lied to you. It's someone close to you and they lied. Well, if you were in the season of the heart, you would be like, oh man, I feel betrayed. Let me find out why they lied to me. Let me talk about it. And then you would go, okay, now let me understand the situation so I can come into some balance. Because this doesn't mean the person is bad because they lied. People lie all the time for different reasons. All right. But you would feel it first, try to address it from that feeling layer, and then get the universal truth. In this season, you're getting the universal truth first. What is true? What's true is I lie, you lie, they lied. Humans lie for different reasons. Am I going to look at the lie itself? Yeah, but not first. You're going to look at the reason they lied first. Don't you know, a person lying to you doesn't mean they don't care. It probably means they do care a lot. I'm not saying lie. I don't endorse lying. I'm just saying look at the bigger picture. People lie when they feel afraid. Sometimes they don't want you to see them a particular way. Sometimes they don't want to see themselves a particular way. That's not personal. Now, if the lie caused you harm or something like that, we got to look at all of that. But generally speaking, you're going to look at the context of the situation and the context of the conversation. I hope you see that. This season is about overstanding. The focus is overstanding. Now, you could spend another 65 days not overstanding. You're going to be worn out by the time the next season comes. Because you get worn out when you're constantly living from a personal perspective and not taking a broader perspective. That's how you get tired of dealing with people. You take everything personal. You dwell on a personal level. There are times where you need to ascend and look at it from an ascension level. There's some problems that you have with people that cannot be solved on a personal human level without overstanding. Because if you don't overstand, you will cut off every relationship known to man. And they will cut you off too with no overstanding. With no overstanding, everybody would be a villain to you, and you would be a villain to everyone. I have challenges because I look at the big picture at the time and the detriment. Okay, so a big picture is meant to serve you, right? One lonely human. The big picture is not to excuse behavior. The big picture is to ground your heart so that you can pull from universal truth and wisdom. And that universal truth and wisdom will support your heart health. We're talking about balance, right? So looking from a bigger picture is not meant to excuse bad behavior, hurtful behavior, or anything like that. The bigger picture is to help ground you. You got an overstanding of it. You have an understanding of it. And now you can make sure those align with universal truth so you can choose. Yes, the balance. I get that. And so you have an opportunity to now, and this is why this is broken up as it is. We have practice in living from the heart. We're not going to overstand for the whole cycle. We're just overstanding for the 65 days as a focus, right? This will help you be balanced. That's why I love natural cycles, because we're not spending a lot of time in one area. We're spending an allotted time developing this part of the God self. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for being here, right? We need to experience all of our God self. And syncing with these natural cycles help us to do that, right? But running with the natural cycle, the cycle rather, of the calendar system that we have, the Gregorian calendar and the time on the clock, you see, we don't get these layers of depth. We don't get it, but we can get it, right? I hope you see how helpful this can be. So remember, I was showing you this 13 moon calendar, and I was explaining some things about it. Now I want you to look at the black dot and travel down to the blue circle beneath it. On the moon, this 13 moon calendar, this one, we call each block a plasma. A plasma is a stream of consciousness, okay, coming down from the sun. And so the stream of consciousness has a quality called Kali. And Kali is associated, I'm going to wait until it pulls it up, is associated with the sacral chakra. So let's talk about chakras real quick, because again, this system is synchronizing a lot of ancient information and practices in a way that helps us align with nature and natural cycles. So the sacral chakra is located beneath your belly button. And it is the area that the energy center, it's an energy center. It's not a part of your body. It's not on your body. It's a part of your energetic being, which is located near or beneath your belly button. It's part of your subtle body. You have more than just a physical body that needs to be tended to. Okay, let me know if that makes sense. You have other parts of your being other than just the physical body. And you can't see them, but we know that they're there. And we call that, in yoga, we call that a subtle body. It's an energetic, non-physical aspect of the human being, which is distinct from the physical body. Right? It's often described as a quasi-material layer that bridges the gap between the physical and spiritual realm. See, this body gives us this idea that we are separate from other realms. We're not. But the body gives us this separation feeling. When we care for our subtle bodies, we realize that these are the bodies that are gradually connecting us to the ocean that is the universe. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that area that I just mentioned right beneath your belly button is part of your subtle body called the sacral chakra, the sacral energy system. It doesn't make sense. I think what would be a good idea. Oh, it does. Okay, got it. All right. So how do we care for this body? Because this body needs to be cared for too, because it carries the qualities of our creativity, our sensuality, our sense of pleasure, our sense of nurturing self and others. I got you, Jay. I was about to make a study suggestion. So when your sacral chakra is not in balance, then you don't feel creative. You feel stagnant, maybe even restless, right? When your sacral chakra is imbalanced, you can become irritable and less nurturing. You can become that way towards yourself and other people real quick. That's one of the reasons, right? There are many reasons for that, but a sacral chakra imbalance can be that. You also either, if you have a block, then you have some kind of guilt or shame around pleasure. That's an imbalance. You know, sometimes when other people are doing bad and you're doing good, you can feel guilty about that. Or I have in my life. And I had to learn how to be in balance, that I deserve to feel good regardless of what is going on around. Sometimes we do that in relationships. Think about this. Let's real talk. Have you been in a relationship with someone before and you've been so mad at them and they were sitting over like at the table or on the sofa or something, talking on the phone and laughing? And you wanted to shame them for it. They over there laughing and kikiing and hee-heeing and ha-ha. You have a belief system that people should not be in pleasure if someone else is not. Tell the truth now. You've done that before, and I've done it before too. Or you've also had it done to you. You over there enjoying your meal or sleeping. The worst one, listen, right. The worst one in my previous life was having an argument and the person going straight to sleep, snoring while I'm suffering. And then I might call a friend and be like, and they in there sleeping, snoring. They know I'm, you know. But when you catch yourself doing it, your sacral need a little balancing, right? But also you may carry some shame around sensuality. And this is common because somewhere in our culture, we've gotten the idea that sensuality is separate from spirituality. And I'm saying sensuality, but go ahead and add the X where the N is. Okay, I don't want to say it because, you know, we need to be in line, in accordance. I'm cooperating, right? Sometimes you can develop a sense of shame because of things that have happened or things that people have said. And you can begin to believe that you have to renounce sensuality to be spiritual. Or to be sensual means that you're not being spiritual. All of that has to do with sacral chakra energy. Also, your ability to receive pleasure. Some people have a problem receiving pleasure, but they can give it. In order to be balanced, we got to get comfortable receiving it as well. It's a process. It's nothing to force oneself to do. It's work. Sometimes there's some mental work that needs to happen to bring that into balance. Also physical work. Also heart work and work on some other chakras, you know. But this is a place to start. So I know that Kali, when I look at the 13 moon calendar, is associated with the sacral chakra. So then I will go look up whatever frequency, sound frequency resonates with the sacral chakra. And I'll listen to that. You can listen to that. You can place your hands on your sacral chakra and think loving thoughts toward it. There's so many ways you can research, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to expose you to the idea that there are things that can be done. All right. So there's another layer of that. And now let's go down to the day. We've looked at 28-day cycles, 7 day, 13 days, 65 days. Now let's look at the day, today, this moment, this plasma. This plasma is coded by, hold on, that's not it. Yes, it is. This plasma is coded by the white dog. That is taken from the Mayan Zocan calendar. Okay, just FYI. So I'm going to go ahead and read this as the oracle or the energies of the day, the frequencies behind the veil. Y'all, we've been behind the veil together. How did that feel to go beyond the calendar together? Into the cycles within cycles and the energies and power actions and essences. And how did it feel to get a point of view of what things could look like? All of what we just talked about, none of it can come from looking at the calendar and saying, now it's June. We need to know that it's June, yes. But we also need to be behind the veil. Also, I want to let you know the day that you were born is coded with this information. It's called your galactic signature. If you need it, let me know. I can point you in the right direction. Just like, let's see, like we left the corporal body to the etheric or prana, ashe. Yes, we experienced the cycles together, the frequencies together, right? We put our mind on it together. That's the power of agreement. So let's read this right here. I would tell you where this came from and such, but I gotta go. I empower in order to love. Okay, that's what we're doing today. I empower in order to love, commanding loyalty. Now, you know we can't command loyalty from others. We have to be loyal to ourselves. Look up the word loyal, okay? I seal the process of heart with the overtone tone of radiance. I'm radiating. I am guided by the power of endlessness. I empower in order to love. This is about you first. Commanding loyalty to you first. This is about embodiment. This is very personal. I seal the process of heart with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of endlessness. Once more, I empower in order to love, commanding loyalty. I seal the process of heart with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of endlessness, and it is so. So what you do with this is take a screenshot, or you can download the app, read it to yourself, read it out loud. You can write it. But ask your higher self, what does this mean for me? I empower what in order to love what? Commanding loyalty to myself. Where do I need to command loyalty? What am I radiating? What does the power of endlessness look like? You can use the dictionary, you can use a thesaurus, but most of all, I hope that you use your own internal intuition. Sit down and let it come to you what your next step is in order to align with the plasma of the day. So here's another layer. So this plasma, this oracle, is for everyone. It's for the collective. We're sinking to the natural cycle. It's placing us back in the ocean. It's placing water drops back into the infinite ocean, the higher intelligence ocean, the God ocean. We re-experience oneness here, right? And there are particular messages for us, and sometimes you need additional help. So I would make myself available to someone who seriously wants to talk about the day and how they could put that together or apply it to one situation, right? I'm open to taking 5 to 10 minutes and helping you to apply this to a situation in your life. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I am done. My name is Coach Veronica. I am an emotional wellness coach, a fitness coach, a group fitness instructor, a nutritional specialist, a feminine wisdom instructor. I'm also a yogi, and I'm here to help you live a healthier and a happier life. There are a few ways you can work with me. You can find me on YouTube. I have videos and teachings there. You can connect through my podcast. My podcast is on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Firefox, and Audible. You can sign up for a one-on-one session if you want to work through some shadow work or some emotional wellness topics, especially relationship and communication topics. You can sign up for that on my website. I have a digital library where you can get my recent books. Yes, a multifaceted son. That's me. And that's it. There's so much more on the horizon. I'm working on filling up my digital library because that's a vision that I have, to have a digital library full of my own work. And it's coming about nicely. That's it. Y'all good? Before I go, checking in. Ashe. Have a beautiful rest of your plasma creation, and we'll talk soon.